So this first play is a great example of initiating that contact, not waiting to get fouled or waiting for something to happen. Because remember, as long as we're not stiff arming or tripping the defender or doing something crazy, odds are it's going to be in the offense's favor. So after blowing by her initial defender, where some of us instinctively try to avoid the defense, Lloyd does a good job of initiating contact, drawing that foul and turning it into an and one. So the first thing I want to break down is watching the defender's momentum. Anytime the defense is running towards you or even running with you, any contact is almost always going to be a foul on them. So here we can see McCoftry, number 35, as she's running to the help, her momentum is going toward the ball handler. So all Jewell Lloyd has to do here is change her direction slightly and take that bump. I also want to point out how she takes this hit on the ground. You can see in this freeze frame how low and braced she is to take that hit, which allows her to stay balanced enough to actually make this shot. So by digging in, changing her direction, and creating that contact, she's able to draw a foul, get the and one, and make the defense's job damn near impossible. Alright, this play is another great example of using the defender's momentum against them and doing it on the ground before we go up for the shot. And surprisingly, again, it ends up in an and one. So first of all, I feel like this is an especially good clip to demonstrate how athletic and strong and stable you gotta be to make these plays. As much as we can break it down and make it look simple, you gotta have the athleticism to do these things on the court. So we can see how Robertson is driving hard and at the last second sort of changes direction to intentionally run into that defender to draw the foul. Or you could even say that she's running in the defender's way so that the defense runs into her. But either way, she's in the driver's seat initiating this contact, which is exactly what we want. And here we can really see that sharp direction, momentum change. So she really reaches out and plants that left foot where she was driving this way hard straight to the basket, and now she's changing direction to move into the defense and draw that foul. So we can see how using the defender's momentum against them, going into them first and creating that contact, you're basically taking them out of the picture and making it impossible to defend you. And when you're in the WNBA finals and you get an and one on a former MVP, that is the appropriate reaction. Here we got Kennedy Carter hitting us with a good example of changing our direction or just coming to a stop to let the defense hit us, doing it off 2 feet strong, getting another and one. So first we see how aggressively she's driving straight line to the basket and that defender is really running with her alongside of her. And I know all these arrows are starting to look like some physics homework, but it really is kind of like physics, so we're just going to roll with it. So instead of just trying to beat Jefferson with pure speed, we're going to see Carter use the defender's momentum against her. And remember, at this point, Jefferson is still racing toward the basket to try to recover on that layup. And you can tell Carter is aware of this, kind of feeling where her defender's at. So all she has to do is come to a stop, change her direction from going forward to going up, and forces Jefferson to run into her. So not only does she draw the foul and get the basket, but you can see when you're the one able to initiate contact like this, you become really difficult to defend. Now that I've given a bunch of examples and talked about why we should be creating contact on the ground, let's look at a dope example of doing the opposite of that. Jumping and creating contact in the air can still be a great option, but if you're anything like me and you don't have a very impressive vertical, I don't recommend getting into the habit of jumping and then making decisions in the air. But especially if you are long and/or athletic, it's not a bad tool to have in your bag. And I love the way that Powers uses her body in this clip because she really forces the issue and clears that defender out of her way to get the layup that she wants. She gets this handoff and starts attacking straight to the basket. The shortest distance between point A and point B is a straight line. So she attacks hard straight to the basket, and instead of giving this help defender any hope of stripping the ball or blocking that shot, Powers makes a sharp change of direction, attacking the defense while protecting the ball with her body. And again, we can see how initiating contact eliminates the defense as they're pretty much just trying to not pick up that foul. And just one more time all the way through so you can really see that athletic change of direction. Now this play is not exactly a highlight, But I find these can be some of the best plays to learn from and see what you can do better in the future. So not necessarily a bad take by McLaren here, but it ends up being a pretty tough shot and obviously does not result in 2 points. So if I'm watching this back, I'm asking myself, what could I have done better? And in this case, my answer would probably be that I would have initiated contact with the defender instead of avoiding her. So I would say right about here, just like we saw in those other clips, I could easily take that defender out of the picture. Instead of just staying straight line to the basket, I can dig in, change my direction, give her a bump, get her out of the way and give myself that wide open layup, maybe even an and one. You can see how by just going straight, she allows that defender to really stay with her and contest the layup. Back to another highlight, basically a prime example of what could have gone down in that previous play. You can see how when she gets that defender on her hip, she's seeking out that contact instead of just avoiding the defense trying to get an open shot. And it's super valuable to break down these type of opportunities so that when you're on the court yourself, you can recognize them and take advantage. And again, see how Thomas feels that defender on her hip, changes her direction moving into the defense, taking them out of the picture. And I think this is even a better angle to see that change of direction, how she's digging in and getting into that defender. And I'm a big fan of going up off of 2 feet like this. You're typically able to be stronger, more under control, more balanced, and importantly, better able to get that and one.